Welcome to my hoard. I want to play retro games legitimately on my flat screen TV, but every time I use my retro systems, it looks like shit on my flat screen TV. But I want to use my original cartridges. I want to play my NES, SNES, Genesis. I want to use them all. But I got a system for you, straight from the banging, the Retro Freak. This is a system that claims to play a butt ton of systems. This is from, of course, Japan, or what I did racistly version of it. But let's see what's on the back. It does Genesis, Mega Drive, Super Famicom, NES with an adapter, PC Engine, Super Graphics, TurboGrafx 16, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. All in one system. And besides that, it's another form of Android. You can compare this to a Retron 5. I was going to do a video on the Retron 5, but I bricked it on accident. So, this is basically it. Here's all the cartridges that they show that are compatible. Can't read that. Can't read that. Can't read anything else on this besides this little mascot. Comes with the system, cartridge adapter, and all that kinds of other stuff. Why am I showing you the box where I can just show you the system itself? Goodbye. Here's the actual system itself. This little tiny thing has USB ports, power, HDMI, micro SD card. You can actually install games to it using SD cards, so you can actually play it on this. Please do not use installed ROMs on the internet. Just rip them yourself. But this is a good cartridge ripper, and I'll show you. And oddly enough, the power button's on the back, which I didn't like. But how am I going to play my cartridges on this? There's no way I can't even put anything in there. That's why it came with this cartridge adapter, which is super huge. Well, it's not that huge, but it's huge in my books. All it is basically a USB extender. So if you really want to be an idiot like me, you can actually use USB extender cables and do it like this, and it'll make you look funny. But all you gotta do is slide this in. If I can do it the right way. Oh yeah, there it is. Slide it in, and there you go. You have you're more of a system. See, it has Genesis, Super Nintendo, Famicom, and NES if you get an adapter. The card games, and the Game Boy. See, and it has, oddly enough, it has USB. And oddly enough, that you can't use your original controllers plugged in. That's why they came with this, a Retro Freak controller, which looks very, very similar to a Super Nintendo controller, which I have right here. Almost identical, but it adds options in home. Actually, this is not that bad of a controller. We'll get on to the OEM ones soon. It's not that bad of a controller. A lot of people on the internet says it's not that great. I actually think it's cool. You can also use PS4 controllers on this, or PS3 controllers. And it plugs in the front here. But if you really want to use your original controllers, it comes with this, the Retro Freak controller adapter. You plug it via mini USB, and you can use your NES, SEGA, TurboGrafx? No, not TurboGrafx, the PC Engine controllers. Super Nintendo, and I think this is Famicom? I'm not sure. Please do not sue my ass. But you can play basically any of the games. So Zelda here. Sonic Genesis here. Game Boy in the front. But I want to play my NES. It's not fitting. That's why, oddly enough, this is an extremely rare, the NES to Famicom adapter. I've never thought these were actually real. I always thought it was the other way around, NES to Famicom. But, why do we hold the box? Here it is. Just a little cartridge adapter. Now you can use your NES with a weird stack. Obviously this is Android. Yeah, the thing with Android is it dumps the ROM itself and you emulates it. So if you take a game out, it will say, hey, the game's been taken out, no more game for you, boo-hoo. But that could be like that's also how you can actually dump your games, by just sticking it in here, and the system will actually ask, do you want us to save the game to the micro SD card? Well, you can obviously tell you can't have multiple cartridges in at the same time, because this is a form of Android. There's a this is really good for Genesis and Super Nintendo and the Game Boy games. I haven't tested this yet because I don't have any. The NES is a little fickle, in my opinion. Like, some games do succeed to dump the ROM. I have a game example, Ninja Gaiden. For whatever I do, I put it in, and it refuses to dump the ROM. Weirdly enough, if I take apart the cartridge and just plug in the circuit board into the actual thing, it'll just actually read it. I don't know if this thing is I don't know if it's really picky, or I just can't get my copy of Ninja Gaiden to work. I don't know. I really want to actually play this, but luckily because you can save games onto it, I got it to work by taking the cartridge apart and saving it via the micro SD card, and I don't actually have to use my copy of Ninja Gaiden anymore, which is kind of sad though. I kind of want to use the cartridges. These are really cool. Yeah, so that's basically it. This is a really good system to actually use and play all your retro games. If you really, really have to, you can use your computer and do all kinds of other stuff. But for some people like me, this is actually really useful to use. This is like $100 or $200 something. I'm not sure on top of my head, but you have to import this from Japan, which is unfortunate. You can do it on Amazon, but it's like $350 and you'll have a stroke. But I wouldn't recommend this over a Retron 5. Retron 5, in my opinion, the time I did have it, I just felt like this is a better quality, better UI system. You can place to put your games in, save your games, and it's really enjoyable. Surely, I wish they can like update this more, but they actually stopped in 2018, I think, which is a bit of a shame. I would recommend getting one of these. I got mine on eBay. You can get yours on eBay for actually a really good deal. That's what I would personally recommend. So if you ever want to play retro games, I recommend the Retro Freak. This thing is amazing.